Okay, welcome back. We're on page 311 and we're talking about the different types of cell references. Before we only had 2 or 3 depending on how you counted. So here's a traditional cell reference, just a plain old normal thing. Here's one where we dropped anchor, you know, the absolute. Here's one with a named range. Remember, there's no quotes or anything behind a name range. Here's one where you have inside a data table where you have this squirrely looking square bracket at thing. Here's one with a table name and a field, and here's one from another sheet. There's actually another one that we're going to come up with next chapter. We're going to throw another one on this list. That's how to actually talk to another workbook. Okay, all right. So in summary, every single one of these are valid looking cell references. So if I ask you a question on a test, you go, yeah, okay, I know what I'm talking about. Good. Okay, let's continue. All right. So again, I'm kind of trying to draw the difference between like a named range and a table. So a named range essentially is this. If you were to say, well, what if I, lassoed all this and it was just a two-dimensional named range, okay? Well, named ranges are dumb. They don't shrink and grow as the data. Remember how, you can add on to a column. Like when I added this tax thing here, if this had been a named range from here to here and down, when I added this here, the named range would have said, huh? What? It would have known nothing about this new thing that got added. So, named ranges are dumb. Tables are smart. Tables tend to know when you're adding a column or adding a row or deleting a column and deleting a row. They're very keenly aware of what's going on, and named ranges are not. So, it has to do with adding and removing rows so it'll react appropriately. So let's say I've got halfway here and I've done all this stuff, and then I realize, oh man, that is not what I want. I don't want to do that. Just get me back to normal stuff. This is way too confusing. All right, so how did I get that extra tab thing to show up here? How did I do that? Well, you just click anywhere inside the table. Doink. Okay, now that I have that, I'm going to click design. There actually is a thing that says convert to range. What that'll mean is, okay, maybe I don't want all that special features. Maybe I don't want all this stuff to do that for me. All the way it did the column and did all the autofill for me. You click that, it'll just convert this over to a named range, and then all that goodness goes away. Okay, we're not going to do that, but that's how it's done. Okay, and the next thing we're talking about is filtering. You kind of remember filtering from Chapter 2, I believe. So let's go here, and I want to filter this for people who have a party size of 2. Well, that's pretty simple, right? I just go here and click on the little filter thing, right? The little down arrow guy. This guy is, every time you see a down arrow, you know that means something else is going on. Okay, so I click on this, and it shows me that right now everything is selected. And what I want to do is I want to unselect everything and just check the 2. So you think it may be a shortcut way of unselecting everything? This little select all guy, if I click that clears them all. Now it doesn't actually say clear all, it says select all, but come on, you know what I'm talking about. It's a toggle, so it could have just said all, meaning select all or clear all, both. Okay, so I click here, and then I hit 2, and hit the button, and doink. Now I only have those people who have a party size of 2. And remember how you can tell whether or not there's filters are currently turned on? Is the filtered rows are now in blue, and if you're a very good eyeball, you can see that the gap between the 30 and the 39 actually it's a little thicker than normal. So blue and a little thicker basically tells you to do that. Okay, now that's all pretty good, but what if I wanted to do something a little weird? What if I said I want to have all food orders greater than 75? So in addition to 2, I want to also do this. So how do I type in greater than 75? I mean, all I have here is a list of everything. So that's not really going to work. So right up here is this thing called number filters. And here you go in and tell it what you want. So I say greater than. Okay, so greater than, and then I can just type in a number, right? So like 75, and then hit the button. So now I've done a compound filter. Again, now you know that it is filtered because it's blue, but can you tell which columns it's filtered on? I hope you can. This one shows that the filter is currently active. That one shows that the filter is currently active. These guys have filters, but they're not active. Okay, cool. So one more time. Let me go through that one more time. I go here, and you got the number, and I say, you know, less than or equal to, I don't know, less than or equal to, I don't know, 45. Okay. So you don't have to just pick them off the list. Now, just to make things kind of weird, instead of saying this, I'm going to go here and make this a number filter. Okay? So I'm going to just says equal to, because that's what that is, right? Picking this off the list is the same thing. It's saying equal to. Okay. So that's how you do those kinds of filters. Now, let's talk in general terms. When I'm going to clear one of the filters, okay? So I'm going to go here, and so this will clear just the currently one I'm on, for the food order guy. So I have right now. I can tell down here at the bottom. I can tell that there's 29 rows in my current filter selection. Okay. If I go back to this guy and say greater than 75, then I only have 5 rows. Now, what should that tell you? Is this an AND operation or an OR operation? Which one makes the result set smaller? You know, when you add more filters on, it gets smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller. Which one is that? Yeah, it's the AND guy. The AND guy makes things smaller and smaller and smaller. The OR guy, which we can't really demonstrate just yet, would make things, you know, bigger and bigger and bigger when you kept adding more things onto it. Okay, so in this case, in order for me to show things on the list, it has to meet 2 criteria. One of the criteria is that the party size is equal to 2. The other criteria is it has to be greater than 75, and both of those have to be true in order for this thing to work. Okay? Cool. Now, you could have a lot of filters in here. Is there a sneaky way to just go in there and say, look, I'm kind of done with this. I want to get rid of all the filters. What do you think? What do you think? So, over here, you know, there's this giant clear, and that means clear everything. All right? So that means I don't have to go through and say clear that one, clear that one, clear this one, clear this one. It's the grand clear guy is to go in there and hit that guy, and you're good to go. And since this was a data table, all I had to do is click anywhere inside the table, and then it would have done its thing. Okay. All right, this next one on page 317 is a little weird. Okay, so this is what's called advanced filtering. Now, I will tell you right up front, advanced filtering is very strange. It's kind of clumsy. We're going to go through it, and then after we go through it, I'm going to talk about why I don't use it. So we are going to have to learn this, and yes, there are probably going to be test questions and all the rest of that stuff, but don't kind of get ahead of yourself. Okay, so you guys remember when we did some database stuff in the past? Remember that the D-sum and the D-average and all that? We had a function. It was a database function, okay? And you had a header row for the criteria, and you could click things and it would change the sum. Cool. Well, that's essentially what we're doing, but instead of changing the sum, we're applying filters, okay? So, one of the first things I'm going to have to do is to make room at the top. So, by the way, how do you know, if I right-click on a row, and I just want to insert, I can just go here. Now, is that going to be above or below? In other words, is it going to show up between 7 and 8, or is it going to be between 8 and 9? Well, it goes up. Remember, if in doubt, it's going to move towards this corner. Okay. So if I want to insert here, that's going to insert one row. Well, what if I wanted to insert a handful of rows all at once? Well, I could do that over and over again. That's kind of dumb. How about this? I highlight a bunch of these guys. I'm not actually counting how many. And then I do insert. And what that means is, oh, you want to insert a bunch of stuff. Cool. All right. Now I'm just gonna copy and paste this header row across here, and this is so I'm gonna use keyboard shortcuts because I'm kind of a keyboard kind of a guy. So Control C, then go up here and Control V. Okay, now this is just normal text now. This had some special connotation before. These were field names. Now they're not field names; they're just plain old text. Okay, cool. So this kind of sort of looks like that dsum thing that we did in some previous thing, but here we go. So under data, there's under the section called sort and filter, there's one called advanced. So I'm going to click that. And it's going to ask me several questions. And the first one is going to be the list range, which is the data that you're trying to filter, right? How much you're trying to filter. By the way, this little tool right here scrunches this dialog box up so it kind of gets it out of the way. A lot of people like to do that so they can actually see what's going on. It's not required, but so I want to light this up and grab all of the data. Okay, now I have all the data. Now I need the rest of the dialog box back up, so I'm just going to click this guy a second time. And then I want the criteria range. If you guys remember how we did this last time with the dsum guy, I needed to have the row of the field names plus a blank row. So I'm going to go here, and this time I'm not going to hit the little button. I'm just going to whack what's in here and then use my cursor to do that. Okay, cool. I'm going to hit the button. Ta-da! So now I have created an advanced filter. So let's see how this works. I'm going to go here and type the word local and hit return. So if I hit return, is this going to immediately cause the filter to jump into play and filter on local? No. Why? I'm not exactly certain. So in order to, you've got the filter set up, but you haven't turned it on yet. So every time you make a change to the criteria, you have to turn it on. So to turn it on, you just go through this procedure again. You hit advanced. Now I don't have to change anything because the values are fine. So I just hit OK. And doink, now you can see that it has filtered on local. Isn't that pretty cool? And if I go to here to like party size of 3, and I would have to go through and do that again. I'd say advanced, and then don't change anything, and just hit the OK button. So now I've filtered on the party size of 3 and the custom size. So this is marginally useful. It's not that much better than hitting just the little down arrow guys. I will show you one thing that's a little weird, okay? Now this is the part of advanced filters that drives people crazy. And that is you can have more than one row of criteria. So now I'm going to go here and I am going to tweak this little guy. Rather than leaving it the way it is, I'm going to erase this criteria range. And I'm going to do this again. I'm going to grab 2 blank rows at a time. Okay, cool. All right, so now that I've selected just local, I want to turn on the filter. Okay, so I go here at advanced, I hit the button, and it didn't do what I wanted it to do. It did not filter on local. And if you're looking at going, well, what's wrong? Well, I told it I had 2 criteria. Well, what does this blank here mean? Well, that blank means all dates. What does this mean? That means all. Well, what does that mean? That means all. So if you have 2 rows in your criteria, then something has to be here. You can't leave it blank or it don't work. So I'm going to type the word true. Hey, look, I didn't write this stuff, okay? Now that I have the word true in there, I'm going to hit the advanced button, hit the OK, and it actually does what I want. Okay, now having said all that, I am never going to ask you to use an advanced filter with 2 criteria rows. It's clumsy as heck. They go about it in the book a bit, but there's nothing here to be learned. There's so many more better ways to do this. Okay, this is a good place to stop for the 15-minute mark. We'll pick this thing up again in just a few.